reading about Ra, right? I'm just saying, that's what I love, about Ra. So are we ready?
Oh, yeah, we're ready.
Yes.
We're ready, and we are live right now as we speak.
Oh, wow. So they heard all of that, right?
No, they didn't catch all of it. I was trying to hit the little live before we ended the convo, but you guys just came in on the tail end of a very beautiful intuitive flow that we were just speaking on about, just free will and what we go through on this planet, from the higher perspective. But with that being said, it's time to get started. Episode 42.
You know we be with it, we off in the hood like some wizards. Nobody ever gave us anything. Missed something from nothing, just like magicians. Gotta relearn everything. Just to remember that I was forgetting. Just to remember that we had a vision. Did it all, don't know how I did it. Time to go star season to go and you know those crystal trips. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Star season to go and you know those crystal trips. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Star season to go and you know those crystal trips. Let them know we in here, yeah, we in the building. Star season to go and you know those crystal trips. Back up in the matrix, yeah, we know the vision. Off on the mission, you know how it goes. Off in the system, they turn up their nose. They took all the soil, but they didn't know. Through the concrete, you see the ropes. Eyes ain't open, don't mean I ain't woke. Ain't got no cash, don't mean that I'm broke.
Can you hear me now? You're a glorious being, having a human encounter with everything that's around you, everything that is the divine. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. For your growth, for your expansion. Your free will is the opt-in button and the opt-out button. Glorious. Glorious rising to everyone, everywhere, all at once. We may be having a wonderful Wednesday, but there is somebody who's having a wonderful Thursday, and that's tuning in and tapping in. They are our future. They've already experienced a Wednesday. How magnificent is that? And they can still, through the infinite ability of the internet, of your computers, of your PC, of your Apples, of whatever other piece of machinery that you have, you're in connection. We're in connection with each other. That's growth. That's expansion. And then we get to use all of this. We get to grow, expand, and then we get to use something else, right? We get to take it and evolve. And I'll give you an example. I'll use myself as an example. I was born 1957. Ooh, what a beautiful year. What a growth and expansion. I grew through black and white TV. I grew up through the first color TV. I grew up through rotary telephone. I grew up through push tone. Some of you might not know what that is. I grew up through the first cell phone, which you had to walk around with. It was so big, it had its own suitcase. Yes, I grew up through what do you call it? The little pocket things that people could pay a pager. I grew up through talking on prepaid cell cards that you get to, when you had to call the person back from the pager, you just put your key code in. And I remember telephone booths on every corner. I mean, these are all the processes that each generation is born into that knows nothing about it. But what I say is I grew up through it all. I took it in and visualized it and utilized it. And now I remember the first dial-up computer. And now here we are on our PCs and our Apples, our laptops, our phones. Our phones can do everything. Yet, here we are. We complain about it. We complain about the energy from it. We complain about this and we complain about that. We are the creators. So if we're complaining about it, the universe just says, hey, I'm going to give you more. I'm going to open up more for you to complain about. What I love about Ra is saying, I'm not telling you anything to do. I'm just giving you a playbook that you can choose to create through. I remember when my son used to play video games and he used to have these little cheat codes. I remember those, how to figure out things. Man, I would buy my son a video game and he would knock it out in less than a week. Mom, can I go trade this one in? I need the next up. Growth and expansion, shifting and evolution. My son did it without even thinking about it, without even being told about it. And here we are with episode, 40, 41? Which one are we on now? They're
42.
coming so fast. 42. Coming so fast, I got it wrong. Welcome. Are you ready? Are you ready, Marcus?
Oh, yeah. I know I'm ready. And I know that we weren't with you guys last week. Last week, I hosted a New Year's retreat. It was a holistic healing retreat. And it was on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And wow, it was beautiful. We did holistic healing workshops from biofield attunement. We did a dream journey. We also did a chakra lesson, a manifestation workshop, and just had some beautiful, beautiful community connection and celebrated the New Year's in a sober and conscious, holistic way. Along with that, we had some provided meals that I bought for everybody, plant-based, home-cooked, made chili, tacos, all sorts of good food. And I have many more retreats coming up, not just in Ohio, but in multiple states around the whole country. So if any of you guys are interested in being a part of holistic healing retreats or quantum healing retreats, reach out, follow me, and I post about it everywhere. And you guys can always ask me questions about how to attend these retreats coming up in 2025. But bringing us to this space, I'm going to dive us back into where we were 2 Wednesdays ago on Christmas night, December 25th.
And to everybody who's trying to see me on Soul Awakening, I do not know why it's not taking. It says it's live, but I don't know why. So no
Where
problem. My Soul Awakening page, it says that it's actually live, but I'm looking on my Soul Talk with Sandee M, and it's not registering. So, or maybe it's my Sandee M, but no problem. This is in replay and it's live on YouTube. So you got me live, baby. All right.
Yeah, it's right here. I'm in the crowd right now, and there's other people commenting.
Oh, really? Well, however,
Yeah,
I can't see it, so it must be my Sandee M. It just must be. So we're live, baby.
that's right.
Let's go.
So this was episode 41 on Christmas night for all of you guys out there.
Star season to go when you know those crystal children. Back up in the mix.
Ra is saying it's not about control. It's about flow. Do you want to flow in it, or do you want to, or not? You get to have a choice to choose where you're going to flow at. You get to choose whether you're going to struggle upstream or if you're going to turn around and flow downstream and just go. If I've always looked at water holds memory, but water does so much more because it takes form, it takes shape, and it does exactly what you want it to do, and it doesn't resist any of.
Some of us may be holding on, and this holding on is causing our own illness. It is causing. Congratulations, Bloomsy, looking all fancy with the blue. You are our final winner of the giveaway. Oh man, was that a fun episode or what? With the live giveaway with the duck race, and then just feeling that beautiful holiday spirit and the connectivity. Oh man, what a beautiful episode 41.
Yes, and I restarted my phone really quick, and now I'm available wherever you are. I can listen to the comments. You know, and this is what we were talking about. The gift of the ability of our gadgets. Ra called them gadgets. That's where Ra said sometimes we're too into our gadgets. Either we're complaining about the gadgets, or we're too filled up with the gadgets that we don't have a balance. It's all about balance. It's kind of like a generation, any generation, saying of kids saying, "Hey, I didn't like when my mom spanked me," or "I didn't like when my mom said no. So when I raise my kids, I'm not going to say no, and I'm not going to spank. I'm just going to let them have their own autonomy." So the kids, so they go from one extreme to another. They don't find any middle balance. And then when their kids get grown, they get to complain. "I don't know where I went wrong." They don't know. They don't have any. They don't know how to give other people space. They just take for granted that everything is about them, and they're kind of gone head hog wild, and I just don't know what I did. What Ra calls that is balance. You didn't find a balance. You didn't like the way you were raised, so you went to the extreme to raise yours. You didn't find any middle ground. Maybe you didn't have to spank your kids, but you could have said no. No isn't a negative word, unless you make it a negative word. You could have said no, and you could have embodied the no with them so that they learned their boundaries. But no, we didn't do that. Ra says us human beings go from one extreme to another, and we never balance. But Ra also says that's a choice. It's a choice. It's a free will choice. It's an opt-in or opt-out. So are we ready to learn a little bit more? We're starting with session 53. It was done May 25, 1981. It starts with, I am Ra. I greet you in love and in light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now. The questioner says, I would first like to ask, what is the instrument's condition? Always taking into account the instrument that Ra is channeling through. What is the instrument's condition? And then ask 2 questions for her. She would like to know if she can now do 1 exercise period per day. And also, is the pain she feels prior to doing a session due to an Orion attack? Interesting questions, right? I am Ra. The instrument's condition is as previously stated. In answer to the question to exercise, now that the intensive period is over, this instrument may, if it chooses, exercise 1 period after, then 2. In scanning the instrument's physical complex distortions, we find the current period of exercise at the limit of its instrument's strength. This is well in the long run due to a commutative, Divine just told me to slow my roll. Commutative building up of the vital energy. In the short run, it is wearying to the entity. Thus, we suggest that the entity be aware of our previous admonitions regarding other aids to appropriate body distortion. In answer to the second query, we may say that the physical complex difficulty prior to contact with our social memory complex are due to the actions of the subconscious will of the instrument. So here we were trying to blame Orion when it's about our own body, when it's about balance. We want to serve, and we want to. I'm a perfect example of that. For the last year and a half, or more, I've been serving the divine. I've been on a roll. I've been allowing allowing myself being an instrument when I need to balance. When the physical body is trying to assimilate and acclimate the energy of the divine, and I'm not giving it rest or time. I'm just doing star meditations, and I'm doing oracle readings, and I'm doing soul conversation podcast, and I'm doing all of this, and it's not a bad thing. The divine says, thank you very much for being my instrument, but take care of yourself. Don't go blame some place that your soul came from as the reason why your body is going wonky. But Ra is not judging her. Ra is just saying that she needs to bring balance, right? So Ra also says the discomforts are experienced due to the dramatic distortion towards physical weakness while this energy is diverted. To the energy, it may be noted also under physical attack. And this intensifies pre-existing conditions in the body. You've got a physical body, right? And is responsible for the cramping and the dizziness, as well as a mind complex distortion. So when you invite this energy to perform, your body has to have time to recuperate. whether it's meditation, whether it's meditational baths, or whether it's finding the right mind-body balance of medicines or herbal medicines or whatever it is, we're responsible for taking care of our body, as well as service to others or service to all. We are part of the all. Therefore, we take care of the all, we take care of ourselves. So the questioner says, thank you. I would like to know if, and then they put they put in brackets the word name, may attend one of the sessions in the very near future. Whoever they named, that's part of their grouping. Ra says, I am Ra. The mind, body, spirit complex belongs with this group in the spirit and is welcome. You may request that special meditative period be set aside until the entity sits with this working. We might suggest that a photo of the one known as, whoever the name was, be sent to this entity with his writing upon it, indicating love and light. This, held while meditating, will bring the entity into peaceful harmony with each of you, and will slow my roll, will bring the entity, the person that they name. There was a reason why they didn't put the name in there at that time in the book. Whatever the reasoning is, it's not a necessary need for us. Otherwise, they would have written the name there. Okay? That's what the divine wanted me to slow my roll to say. This, held while meditating, will bring the entity into peaceful harmony with each of you, so that there be no extraneous waste of energy while greetings are exchanged between two entities. Both of them have a distortion towards solitude and shyness, as you would call it. The same might be done with a photograph of the entity for the one known as, and they put in brackets again the word name, right? And I think this is part of how we help. This is what the divine has just given me right now, is when we're helping people to expand into themselves, whether it's shadow work or whether it's being a psychologist or a psychiatrist or a therapist or being a shaman or whatnot. This is how we hold space for them. Even before they show up, we can hold space for them. If they have, through their free will, want to take place with you to work, then you can bring them in to holding space for them before they even show up for their session. Balance with love, unconditional love, with no determined method on our part, just unconditional love and wholeness. We welcome them in. That way, when they come in, there's just the unconditional love as they come in, to work with them, to expand with them, to help them grow. Even if you're doing a shadow walk with them. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Back to you, Marcus.
I really like how, starting off this episode, they talk about the wellness of the instrument. Because I feel like this is a key thing for whoever this resonates with right now, to really have this reminder of your spiritual hygiene and your self-care. the ways that you allow yourself to be nurtured, the ways that you use your tools and your practices to be able to replenish, rejuvenate, and reset yourself. It's very easy for us, especially if we're empaths, light workers, or healing practitioners of any sort, to really just continuously hold space, do service, create. But while doing that, we can kind of get onto this track of kind of losing the sense of, okay, maybe I can take a day or 2 days not exerting this energy, not taking on other people's energies, and just really process and integrate and allow myself to just be and see what the stillness of the spirit has for me. And what I found through my own journey is when I kind of get onto this track of just continuing forward, and not taking those pauses, I find myself becoming kind of drained. I find myself becoming kind of emotionally dulled out because I'm just exerting my emotional energy constantly. And along with that, at least for me, I find that I kind of start to lose that spark. I kind of start to lose that passion for what it is that I'm doing from the initial energy that I had. So whenever I get to that point, that's when I kind of, I don't want to say cut myself off, but I redirect myself, and I start to bring the energy inward, and I start to focus on my own space and my own being. And I used to kind of ignore those signals a lot when I was having that dried out brain. Felt like I was just mentally drained, emotionally drained because of how much I was giving myself on lives and podcasts and stuff like that. And I found myself with nothing to give my own self, really. And it's very easy for us, being in these bodysuits, to be constantly only looking out at the world and think about only the outside world, and then forget that we have this bodysuit to keep the maintenance on. And the more that we just continue to honor what this bodysuit is telling us, because it is conscious, it is programmed with the divine consciousness within it through every cell and every single fabric of our being. So it is very conscious and it's intelligent, and it was designed to function in a perfect organic harmony. So when it's telling us certain things, it's telling us from a very divinely intelligent standpoint. And the more that we continue to reject and not listen to those things that the body's telling us, then that's when it continues to manifest into louder signals, louder messages. And those louder messages could become a serious injury, could be a disease, could be your anger becoming fuming. It could be all these different things. But the reason why they start manifesting and they come up is because there's a message. Your body and your emotions and your mind, they're trying to tell you something. And if we just listen to it, instead of trying to force it through things, rejecting it, plumbing it with more poison or more numbing, then we're able to start seeing, okay, this body that I have, this vessel, this instrument, it is so divinely intelligent that it can literally tell me when I'm doing something harmful to myself, when I'm doing something that is not in alignment for the best feeling and health of myself. And man, the more that I started listening to that, the more I started finding a lot more peace through my days. And when we find that moment to just listen for a moment, take the pause that we need to, go into solitude, pull out our cards, take those baths, do the things that we need to, sit by the river, you'll notice, and I'm sure many of you guys can pull out your memory right now of those times where you did listen, and when you took that pause it was like a freeing feeling. It was like a weight being lifted off, and that you just felt way more alive again. So I think that's a really great reminder from Ra to always be checking in on the instrument, especially if we are someone that is a channel for a lot of channeling, or we're moving through and transmuting a lot of energies for ourselves, the collective, and other individuals through service. Because, those energies, they can get caught up in our energy field if we're not taking care of them. And when it can all pile up, our own energy, everybody else's energy, the client's energy, it can become overwhelming. And there's ways that we can maintain ourselves and be preventative through our own self-care and self-maintenance to where we don't have to go to those extremes. And that's actually kind of what Ra was talking about as well, is, we can, go to the extremes of things and then get kind of like slapped by the universe all the way back to the other extreme because we went to that extreme. Or we can try to maintain our balance. So it's kind of like, as soon as you start to feel that shadow get triggered, instead of just continuing the day with it and then projecting and taking action and making choices with it, it can come up, and then we can take that pause, acknowledge it, give it the consciousness that it needs through our own love, through our own tools and practices. And then you never even know, it could take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then after that practice, you don't have to deal with that energy anymore. And then you continue forward in a more lighter version of yourself. So there are ways, and we just got to stay creative and present with ourselves to really be able to go through the crevices of the moments and make those choices for ourselves. Or we'll just continue on and get dragged by the wind. Back to you.
I love that. The universe just slaps you all the way back. This is the pendulum. The pendulum swings from one end to the other. It's got to come back. That's the universe. What you put out there has got to come back. If you push the pendulum all the way from one end, from the end of whatever you put out there with whatever you're saying about yourself or whatever you're doing, and then the pendulum swings all the way back, well, it's going to swing back with an answer for you. Because we put out, or you could say answer, or you could say manifestation, or you could say a vibrational energy, whatever you want to call it, whatever we're calling it. Understand that the divine is seeking itself. Ross says the one true creator is seeking itself in, through, and as you. No right or wrong from the divine. The right or wrong was given to us in polarity. It was only just created to be our GPS. When something does not feel right to you, or when something feels wrong to you, and you want to get to a vibrational place where it feels right to you, that's your GPS on how you're going to move, where you're going to go, what you're going to do, what you're going to let go of, what you're going to surrender. That's all Ra is saying. Ra is saying that energy seeks to create. It seeks to serve. I'll use myself as an example. The divine said to use myself as an example. Every day when I go to my radiation treatments and sit there and they radiate my breast, I now understand that when that machine is going, I am the creator of that energy. When that energy is entering my body, I get to tell it what I want it to do, what I want to receive for my highest and greatest good. And then all else I get to surrender that does not serve me. It does not stay in my body. I'm learning how to be an alchemist of the energy. It's my time to do that. It may not be your time, but I've transitioned from the teach, learn. me being a teacher and sharing inspirational and motivational information to now being the student, learning how to manifest my healing. It's mine. It's already there. It's there's a version of me that's already healed, and I'm moving into that version. Morris asked, what do I put in my bath water? Everybody is different. I use special salts to help pull the energy that I don't want there anymore, that's serving to hinder my body. I don't want that service anymore. So I'll use Epsom salts. I'll use oils with Epsom salt. I sit and I listen to 100, I believe it's called 100,000 hertz of music while I'm laying there, and I speak my light language for me, because it's time for me to use it for me. I have to have that balance for me. And then I get to share what I do for me, how I do it. This is me learning how to alchemize so I can go back into the teach vibration. This is me learning how to love me so that I can share how I did it with me and see if it works for you. I can't make you do anything. I can't tell you should do this. Though you do hear that a lot on all the media, the internet streams that we have, people yelling at you, telling you that you need to do this and you need to do that, and if you don't do this, you're stupid and you're a sheep, and right? That's not you come to my page, you're not going to get this. You come to my page, you're going to get inspiration and motivation with unconditional love. That who you are, at where you are, where you come in from, you get to be you and ask. There is no stupid question. There is just a question. You've asked an embodying question. I can answer it based on me. Then you get to take it. You get to take it and sit with it and say, well, how does this reflect on me? How do I get to use it for me? How do I get to break it down for me? You bypass the judgment of it and you sit with the embodiment of breaking it down for you. Everything that Ra wants you to know that everything that everything that you embrace, the quantum energy is all around you. The divine made it so that it is the quantum energy that you bump up against all the time. It is the isness, and it is not the isness. It is the isness for someone else and not the isness for you. It is the isness for you and not for someone else. That the divine is that in sync with itself that it can be a part of all well over 80 billion of us doing or expressing differently in each moment. So what I use in my bath may not be what someone else uses in theirs. When I sit to meditate, there are infinite ways to meditate. What works for me might not work for you, but at least you get to say, oh, I can try that. And then go, oh, that doesn't really work for me. Let me go over to Marcus's. He does several different styles. Let me try what he does. That might work better for your body, mind, and spirit. Infinite possibilities. That's all Ra is saying. Right? So the questioner says, I would like to know, hold on. Yeah. During my trip to Laramie, I think it's Laramie, okay, certain things became apparent to me with respect to the dissemination of the first book of the Law 1 to those who have had experiences with UFOs and other wanderers. I will have to ask some questions now that I may have included in Book 1 to eliminate misunderstandings that I am perceiving as a possibility in Book 1. Therefore, these questions, although for the most part transient, are aimed to at eliminating certain distortions with respect to the understanding of the material in Book 1. I hope that I am using the correct approach here. You may not be able to answer some of them, but that's all right. We'll just go on to others then if you can't answer the ones that I asked. Can you tell me of the various techniques used by the service to other positively oriented Confederation contacts with the people of this planet, the various forms and techniques of making contact? I am Ra. We could. Questioner, would you do this, please? I am Ra. The most efficient mode of contact is that which you experience at this space/time. The infringement upon free will is greatly undesired. Once again, Ross says, I do not want to impose on humans free will. So take kind of basically, like I say, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Therefore, those entities which are wanderers upon your plane of illusion will be the only subjects for the thought projections which make up the so-called close encounters and meetings between positively oriented social memory complexes. Remember, Ra is a social memory complex. We are mind, body, soul complex, or mind, body, spirit complex. Okay, so the close encounters and the meetings between positively oriented social memory complexes and wanderers. The questioner then says, could you give me an example of one of these meetings between a social memory complex and a wanderer as to what the wanderer would experience? I am Ra. One such example of which you are familiar is that of the one known as Morse. In this case, the previous contact which other entities in this entity circle of friends experienced a negatively orientated. However, you will recall the entity. Morse was impervious to this contact and could not see the physical optical apparatus of this contact. However, the inner voice alerted the one known as Morse to go by itself to another place, and there an entity with the thought form, shape, and appearance of the other contact appeared and gazed at the entity, thus awakening it in the desire to seek the truth of this occurrence and of the experience of its incarnation in general. The feeling of being awakened or activated is the goal of this type of contact. The duration and the imagery used varies depending upon the subconscious expectations of the wanderer, which is experiencing the opportunity of activation. So there are many of us, especially those, remember, the divine is going to give you what you're seeking. So if you're seeking to be in contact with a higher social complex or an alien or a extraterrestrial, the divine is going to say, your wish is my command. And how you interpret your visit is based upon you, not upon someone else who has a totally different connection with a social complex being. That's why it's so different. That's why some people have this connection and it's the most sweetest vibrational thing ever. And then some people are saying, oh man, I felt like they were dissecting me. Well, if they were dissecting you, it was because that's what you wanted. That's what you wanted to experience. And the divine said yes to you. If you wanted to experience a wonderful connection with a social complex or a higher being, then that's what the divine said, let her see that. I've always said I am open and welcome my angels, my generational spirits. I'm welcome to them. I'm open to them. I am open with unconditional love. To see them, to feel them, to be with them. I expect nothing less than unconditional love back from them. But that's me. That might not be you. If you enter it with fear, then the divine says, through energy, let it be so. Right? The questioner says, and this is in parentheses, close encounter by a confederation type of craft. And confederation just means higher being that has decided to show itself or venture into our quantum field, right? And they decided to use a craft instead of just shifting energy. They use, just like we get in a car to go to work or to go to the park or wherever. We get in a car. They decide to use a craft, right? The questioner says, I am assuming that this close encounter is with a thought form type of craft. Have wanderers within the past few years had close encounters with landed thought formed type of craft? Now, this is based on when this book is written. This is based on when this book is channeled. Ra says, I am Ra. This has occurred, although it is much less common than the Orion type of so-called close encounters. We may note that in a universe of unending unity, the concept of, in quotations again, quote, close encounters is humorous for humorous, take the comma, for, and then the word are, not all encounters of a nature of self with self. That's what the question mark. It's kind of like that's the question mark that you don't really have to answer, but if you want to answer it, you are encountering yourself. When you have a close encounter of a alien kind, you are encountering self. Why? Because the divine is moving in, through, and as you. As the divine is moving in, through, and as that close encounter. Are you not? Blows your mind, doesn't it? Blew mine. Therefore, how can any encounter be less than very, very close? Does that blow your mind? Therefore, how can you not call it a close encounter? You are having a close encounter with you, the spirit of the divine. Back to you, Marcus.
Oof.
Oof. I'm just saying. Did Raw start us on 2025? Blowing our minds? Mine is blown.
Golly. How much I love Raw. No, this really clarifies over and over again why I have just had this natural connection with Ra over the years. And it's so amazing to see like the direct similarities of the things I've been teaching, the things I've been saying, the things I've been putting on my podcast, and then to hear it literally reassembled and then put into a higher dimensional complex to then transition into us right now in this moment through this book. It's like, oh man, it's just so solidifying and being where we need to be in this moment. And you know, it's really fascinating how, you know, Ra is like directly but indirectly basically reiterating the teaching to people that, you know, nothing comes to you or nothing quote unquote attacks you or, you know, grabs onto you and leeches onto you unless there is something within your own energy field that is attracting that energy to you. So it begins with you, just like Ra says. You know, it's about this being of yours. And it's not about good or bad. It's not about you've been lacking or you've been doing really good. It's just the facts of the mechanics of how energy operates and how the energies operate as multidimensional beings that are an extension of the all. So if we have a very solidified, a very clear, very pure, a very stabilized energy field or aura, electromagnetic field, whatever you like to call it, then we're not going to be in a vibration. We're not going to have the channels or the alleyways for what you can call is, you know, draconian, demonic, lower polarity beings to be able to be attracted into your field. And when they get attracted into our field, you know, it's because it's an opportunity. And this is how I'm seeing it right now and how I'm translating it, is that it's an opportunity for us to go through an experience in this third dimensional plane. And through that experience, it gives us a little bit of a shake-up, gives us a little bit of a wake-up call in a way. And through that, it helps us be able to return back to center, to return back to balance with ourselves. Now, is that what's going to happen every time? I can't say that. It's infinite possibilities. It depends on your reaction, depends on the actions that you take, depends on just the overall happening of how the experience goes for you with that energy or that being. And it's not black and white for anybody. And it's not even black and white for someone's whole lifetime. You know, there's different encounters, different experiences, and different ways of perceiving it that's going to alter the way that you move forward. So, you know, it's really interesting. And then on the contrary, you know, if we have a lot of what you call tears and leaks in your aura or your energy field, you have a lot of cords that are taking in very low vibrational and toxic energy into our field. And you also have a lot of, traumas and unhealed things and addiction patterns going on in your energy field. Those are the kind of things that leave your energy field susceptible to the lower polarities. And then since it's susceptible, whether we're conscious of it or unconscious of it, that's still a free will consent for that vibration to be able to be a part of our energy field. So it may take a couple of times to really process something like this and really understand the accountability and the responsibility that we have whenever quote unquote negative or dark, evil things come into our life. But that's part of the empowerment process, is coming to that remembrance that, oh yeah, this is kind of, whatever I'm feeling in this moment, this is terrible, horrible, whatever it is, whatever we're authentically feeling. But despite this feeling, there's still a level of free will empowerment that I have. And through that free will empowerment, I can actually do something with this experience. I can do something with these energies. I can actually command, I can choose, I can do things that then clear those energies out of my field. And then I'm also capable, through my mind, since I have a mind, to be able to sit and travel into how those energies tracked it into my field. And not by analyzing the outside world, but by analyzing my own self and seeing what was triggered, or what is very prominent right now through the messages that are coming to me about this experience and why I had this experience. And if you're not asking that question or opening up your guides or the divine to giving you those answers, then you can take the step to initiate that question. Ask the divine, ask your higher self, ask Source, God, ask Jesus, Buddha, whoever it is you'd like, and just be like, why did I have this experience? What is it that I need to learn, or what is it that I can take from this experience for me to continue forward in this existence? Or however it is that you would like to word it. And then when that comes to you, just remember the ways that you find that stillness within your own self, through your own influence with your spirit, and see what comes to you. And I'm sure you'll be able to come with something. And yeah, sometimes also it's really simple reminders that we may not even think of, that we may overlook. And that simple reminder could just be like, yeah, we're holding on a little bit too much to something, or we're a little bit too detached from our human life. Maybe we need to come back into our human body a little bit more. There's so many things that we subtly get told through spirit about where we're at, what we can do at our own free will to be able to adjust and restore balance with ourselves. So yeah, it's just really cool to hear all this, because it's very easy for us as humans. I know I've even done it before in the past, where a negative energy of some sort comes into my life and I experience it, and then I'm just kind of like, oh, something's trying to get me, or something's trying to attack me. But as time went on, I started really realizing okay, doing that is only giving away my power. Doing that is also putting me into the delusion of separation even further. And it's ultimately just disempowering me. So for me now, the way I go about it is, if I experience a negative polarity, for me, it's just sitting with it, letting it process. And one of the biggest things for me when I'm moving through a negative polarity is not to make choices and not to take big actions while I'm in that negative polarity. Because the times that I do, I end up doing things that I really didn't want to do in the purity of my own heart. And then I end up, backtracking or regretting or anything like that, that just did not feel aligned to my soul because I started acting out of my lower nature. Um, so yeah, I just want to give that gentle reminder. When we're going through those negative polarities, it's one of our biggest times of really learning and having introspection with ourselves and going deeper into our own consciousness of why we are experiencing what we're experiencing. And, not taking action, not making big choices during that time has helped me a lot because, some relationships in our life or connections that we have, they could be very, very beautiful and very, very loving for us. But when we move through our shadows and move through our negative polarities, we can be a little distorted sometimes in the way that we're perceiving what's in front of us. And, if we're making decisions while we're in the state of falsehood inside of our mind and our emotions, and that we just end up destroying or sabotaging or breaking a beautiful connection or whatever it is that we have in front of us, it can definitely weigh on us and can do some things to us as we move forward. So I just want to give that reminder again. Just really, if you can, just slow down and find the ways to slow down when you're really feeling those energies, and find it as an opportunity to be able to learn a little bit more about yourself. That's for sure. Back to you.
That's for sure.
That's for sure.
Sure. I mean, at least it resonates for me that our higher beings asked to come play in this playground, this duality. Maybe not our physical bodies. Our physical bodies were created kind of like Ford creates a car or Toyota creates a car, right? And then we go choose the Ford 5x5 pickup truck or the Toyota or the Tesla car or whatever for whatever journey we want to take. Our higher beings did that. Our higher beings had a powwow like kids do. I want to play being I'll use myself as an example. I want to play being someone's daughter, someone's friend. I want to play being someone's girlfriend. I want to play being a wife and a mother. I want to play at trying to figure out what love is. Well, in duality, sometimes I had to wade in what dislike was, or hate was, or malice, or being told that you're not worthy. Whatever it took to get to the vibration of learning what love is as a higher being. And through this body, Sandee, through the gift of feelings and emotions, I got to direct my higher being and show my higher being what that felt like. And I got to tell my higher being, when I finally understood that I could have a conversation with my higher being and say, hey, I don't want to vibrate in this. And my higher being, having that conversation with my higher being, saying, okay, what do you want next? Because I became a part of body, mind, and soul. I became triune. I became the what I was told from very early on, that the triune was the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. I became that internally. And then bring me forward to learning about reading the divine design and finding out what happened in fourth density. That the players that came to play on Earth's playground got to play being creator, trying to be like God, trying to create versions of themselves without having higher beings to be part of that play area. They created them as themselves, the draconians, all this. They came and said, well, you know, I want to be the consciousness, but I don't want to take a body. I want to learn how to do what God did, the divine did. When I read that in the divine design, that made so much sense to me. And when I read that they were at the verge of hurting Earth consciousness's body, that's when the divine said, okay, that's part of our agreement, that if a entity is going to hurt the Earth's consciousness body, we're going to call for the wanderers to come back and help Earth consciousness rise in our energy to grow and expand. Right? I blew my mind. They called, and the call was answered by higher beings from everywhere that is the divine. They called, and they got answered. And the divine said, okay, well, we got to clear it. So they cleared all of these beings that were taking advantage of humanity and Earth consciousness, and they cleared them. And they said, hey, you can be in fourth density, but you can't be in the quantum field that Earth consciousness is in. But guess what? If a entity, meaning us, decides that we want to play with you, these fourth dimensional beings, you can play with them, because we're not going to usurp their free will. So anytime you're playing with an entity, anytime you're playing with a dark entity, it's because you invited them in using your vibration, whatever the vibration is. Whatever. And they're going to come play with you however you want them to play with you.
And let me add real quick too that, you know, that consent of, you know, playing with them can come in many different forms. Exactly. As in, you know, the things that you continue to watch on your TV, the video games that you continue to keep playing, the vibrational foods that you continue to ingest. All the things that are tied to those frequencies and that vibration field, the more that you welcome that into your life and into your energy field through TV, food, the way that you're speaking, the people you're hanging out with, the drugs around you, all these different things, they're all just basic gateways for these energies, because that's what they vibrate with, and you're inviting, consciously or unconsciously, that energy to play with you in any way that it is able to through its will of the creator.
It's will of the creator. And if you're inviting it through fear, then that's what you're going to get. Right? Because the divine says, let it be so. Energy is here to create on your behalf. Right? I'm not trying to invoke or instill fear in you. I'm just want you to have the knowledge to choose. You get to choose. No right, no wrong to it. Just a choice. Through your feelings, through your emotions, through I'm going to tell you, since I've retired, I've been able to go back and watch several movies, but I watch them with intent to educate myself, because the divine is talking to us through music, through TV, through movies, through art, through the divine is just talking to us. So you can pick what you see, what you feel, what can grow you or not grow you. That's why I always say, take what resonates. Because there's a lot of movies where I'll watch it and I'm going, oh, that doesn't resonate with me. And then there'll be like one scene in there that I know I'm watching it for, and I go, shit, I just got a shitload of downloads. Ooh, now I understand. Because the divine is saying, do you see this? This that didn't resonate with you, this is why. Or this is what you should, you could do. Never what you should do, but you could do. And you could take it in. I mean, I even go back to my Godzilla movies. I mean, watching my Betty Boop cartoons. I mean, there is I'm going to say it, a shitload of information that the divine has just downloaded. Now I get to understand it. The divine has always been channeling to us. It didn't just start with Ra. It's not going to be finished with Ra. That's why we have Abraham Hicks. That's why we have Bashar. That's why we have Marcus Christolight. That's why you have Soul Awakening with Sandra. That's why you have all these caveats of entities being given this information to share, to inspire, to motivate, to help edify you, to help you create you, not me create you. I'm spending a lot of time creating me, right? The one thing that resonates with me that Bashar said was, you're having an experience in the here, in the now. Don't be worried so much about where your soul has been, or where your soul is going after you. Be in the here and now. What do you want? Embody that and let your soul see it, and you don't ever have to take an airplane anywhere. Embody where you want to go, and when you sleep is when your soul plays. You're so busy thinking about the label of it. Oh, is it the astral plane, and how do I get there, and where do sleep? Invite sleep to restore, to revitalize, to allow you to dream, to allow you to play, so that you can go play with your soul. Ask your soul to give you recall so that you can read it. Maybe you want to write a book about it. And on that note, I'm reading this book by this beautiful young lady. It's called 1800 Days of Darkness and the Insights That Brought Forth Light. The author, she's Angelique Johnson. She's on Instagram. And she gifted me this book. And the first thing I noticed was on the very first page of chapter 1, she says, reminder, your life has a purpose. Darkness gives way to the light. It's sometimes hard to see. It's sometimes difficult to remember. So, and she takes a pause with a comma, this is a friendly reminder. You are a light. Your life has purpose. Transformation is possible. This is channeling from the divine. You have the ability to see light and be light. You have the ability to see darkness and be darkness. That's part of duality. That's part of who you are. That's part of your yellow brick road to where you want to go next. That's all Ra is saying is, where do you want to go with this information? These questions that are being asked, if Ra doesn't answer them in the way that vibrates for you, take the answer that Ra gave you, sit with it, and ask your higher being, how does this vibrate for me? For me. Why? Because you're unique and you're authentic. And there is no there is no one size fits all. What works for me in my growth and my expansion in what I'm learning in my healing, I might gift it to you and it might not work for you. But you will have to sit and find out what part of it can you embody that you can take to the next part of where you're going to learn about your growth, about your expansion, about your shifting, and about your evolution. And then, just as like we were talking before we started, it's a wash, rinse, and repeat. You keep doing it, not to get it right, but just to live it, to experience it, to express it. That's what Ra is saying. Experience the now moment from the one true creator that's within you. Be the wholeness that you are. You don't have to be perfect. Perfect is overrated. Perfect was never put in, and the divine wants me to say it, was never put into the formula. Thank you. Thank you for letting me be part of this reading today, part of this channeling today. I feel like I'm part of the channeling that Ra was channeling back in 81? I feel like I went there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Back to you, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm actually curious. I'm looking up. I want to see what year this was actually written.
The book 3? Yeah.
Yeah. What about book 1? Do you know when book 1 was written?
Let's see. Book 1. Hold on. Let's see.
Okay, so it says it was channeled between 81 and 84.
Yeah. Book 1, first printing was 1981.
Okay. Okay, I wonder where book 5 left off then. Just kind of curious. Book
Yeah,
5.
I'll be purchasing that next week. So book 4 and 5, they're in my basket to purchase. So I'm excited.
Oh man. Whoa,
I'm
book
excited.
5 looks awesome. It's like black and gold. Or at least this one that I'm looking at. It's got like a purple planet on it. Okay. Oh, whoa. Really? What? No way.
Book 2 was printed. It says first printed 1982, but I'm kind of wondering. So it must have been presented in 1981 after book 1. They were just the channeling and kicking them out.
I think from what I just saw, book 5 is like pretty recent. From what I just saw, I just want to make sure I have this right.
Mm-hmm.
I think it said 2023.
So maybe they went back in the archives, and that's where they they took the channeling, and that's when they decided, okay, it's time for this one. The divine said 2023. Ooh. But you know what I noticed, people? That the raw material, these people, when these channels came through, they weren't just written by these particular people that actually channeled it. There's other versions of it. I would love to read those other people's versions of their information, how they perceive it, how they perceive that. That's why I'm saying this collaboration could go on for years. I'm just saying.
Yeah, because they do revise and edit them.
Yes. As Raw, understand that Raw just wasn't here in 1981, or 1981 was when it was printed, but they've been doing this channeling for quite some time. It says that in book 1, right? It's not just when the book was printed. Okay, so Raw has been Joy Lake, did you oh, it's saying, did I write a book? No, I haven't written it yet. You know, when I first started Emperor Eferu, when I first started here, there was a channel that came through a person who was interviewing me on his page. My first interview ever, and both him and a person that I'm still in touch with, both him and Root to Crown, channel that I would be writing a book. I've got so much information, and the divine keeps telling me it's time. Guess who puts it on the back burner? Not the divine. Me. Why? Yeah. Because I'm going, how do I do that? I have the information, but I say to myself, I've never written a book before. How do I do that? How do I take everything that I have, that I know it's ready? It's about stepping into the unknown and making it known. So yeah, there's a little fear. I've taken it from fear into just being scared. I've tamed the fear. Now I'm like, okay, I'm at the point where, how do I do this? How do I, the typing of everything. My son said, well, you know, there's a thing that you can use on your PC, Mom, where you can just read it and it'll type it for you. And then you go back and you spell check. Just recently.
Yep. Voice to text.
Voice to text. And what are we just said, we've got these PCs and we've got all these, we got the phone, we got GPT, GPT, we've got all this stuff. Yeah. Yet we complain about all that we have because we don't want the energy to interfere with our this and blah, blah, blah. Well, then the divine is going to give you exactly what you're focusing on. Right? Well, now for me, there's no excuse. Voice to text. And it doesn't have to be, and the other thing about this was, oh, the book has to be this big. The book has to have this many pages, or the book has to be 300 pages or more. No, the book can be this size. There's nothing wrong with this size, right? It doesn't have to be enormous. It just, like the divine says, it just has to be when I'm ready for it. Emperor Eferu, I'm ready.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point, is like, it's not about the like the what and like the how. It's more so of just getting the motion into action. And like once we get that action and the momentum flowing, it starts basically assimilating for us. It's almost like when you see those visuals and you see that person walking and there's nothing in front of them that they're walking on, you know, it's just space. But underneath them, there's like these tiles or platforms that are just unfolding as they take each step. You know, and that's what we're in here. It's like we can think about it all we want, but if we just don't take that initiation step, then we're just going to be where we're at. And yeah, it's so hard to explain it, but it's really interesting in this third dimensional world, you know, what action does and why we have action. And, you know, we're able to create momentum with that action, which also allows our energy to free up more and to be able to cycle, draw in more resources, more energy, more light. But when we hold on to things and we become sort of in a stagnant energy kind of, then we start getting heavy and bogged down by the energies that are in our field. So, you know, that action step is definitely key. And I wanted to show this right here. You know, this is the book for Tao. And if you guys don't know what Tao is basically traditional Chinese spirituality. And Tao doesn't have to do with religion. It's not about one way of life. This is about all. And when they talk about the Tao is the source. So it's talking about finding your own authentic self in relation to the source through this traditional Chinese way. And this book is 74 pages. So just 74 pages, this thin. And this can be the equivalent of what you can say is like a Bible. You know, there's heavy, heavy scripture in this that is helping you, you know, become aware of your connection with the all. Not dogmatic, not religious, just connection with the all, and that the all is the all. And, you know, like Sandee said, it's not about the length of the book. It's not about how many pages. It's about the intention, you know, the reasoning of why you're doing it, and just doing it. You know, it's those expectations, they really get us in this human life. But there's so much power in divinity by allowing things to be what is, and then putting action into what is, and continuing to move forward with that.
Exactly. When you take the expectation and you take it out of the recipe, and you add intention plus your energy, which I love because I learned that in the book, The Divine Design. Intention plus energy equals manifestation. The divine did it with all the creation of everything that it created to see itself as the moon, as the stars, as the sun, as you and me. That the divine created itself through intention and its energy, and then gave it to us. My question when I was a little kid is, after I learned that God created, it took 6 days to create 6 days to create heaven and earth, and on the seventh day, the God rested. What else? That was my as a kid, I said, what more? And my mom asked me, what do you mean, what more? It's like, did God just stop? Right? And my mom said, well, Sandee, where do you want to find that answer? I said, well, I keep asking at church when I would go to church, and I wouldn't get any answer. I would just get, sit down.
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh, there she goes again. And my mom said, well, where do you want to go next? I said, well, maybe I'll find out from another church. you know. And my mom, I truly believe that my mom is my angel or spirit guide. She came as my mom. She came with me and she birthed me. Did you know that spirit guides can do that? I believe my mom came as an awakened being for me. I don't know about how she came for my sisters and brothers, but I know she came with infinite, unconditional love and patience for the questions that I was going to ask. I wasn't totally asleep or totally unconscious. I was conscious enough to ask those embodying questions. Didn't know that they were embodying questions. Mother didn't know that they were embodying questions, but questions enough to say, what more? For me, it can't be finished. For me, the story of Adam and Eve, it's unfinished. What more? For me, I needed to ask. And guess what? Within asking that, in the last year or two, reading the Divine Design answered a lot of questions about Adam and Eve, and it made more sense, because I can't believe that a lot more people weren't created in that process. That it took, to me, just common sense for me, not for anybody else, and not to knock the belief of Adam and Eve, because guess what? You get to express how you want to believe your story. If you want to believe your story, that you came into this expression of duality as a center, the divine will say, let it be so. If you want to believe that you came into this expression as a sovereign being with a human body and a conscious mind, the divine will say, let it be so. So for me, I said, I have so many questions. So little answers, but so many questions. And I kept asking those questions. This is why there are so many people like, or beings, higher beings like Ra, that said, we don't want to take human form. We just want to be an inspiration of wisdom and knowledge. And we want to keep being here and channeling the information needed as it's needed. The higher beings, they didn't all have to come and be human. Just like the trees that you have, every tree that you come upon has a higher being, has a higher consciousness. It's being the answer that you need. Go hug a tree. Ask a question. Be available and open for the answer, and let the tree speak to you, because it is consciousness of the divine. I'm just saying. That's why Murish asked about meditational baths. For me, water is living water that holds information. It holds remembrance. It holds recalling. So sit in it and ask the water to speak to you. Ask a question. It's consciousness that became water. As you turned on the water and allowed your faucet to the water to pour into your bath, it became what you needed as energy. The moment it came out your faucet and you viewed it as water, living water, it is energy saying, what do you want from me? For me, I said, I want wholeness and balanced love as I sit in it. I want rejuvenation in my skin. I want understanding and wisdom, and to be open to your recalling. It's recalling where it came from, that it was divine. It was the one true creator. And I sit in it. and vibrate in it. Do you want to do that too? Maybe not. Do you just want it to be water that cleanses you? Then let it be so. I thank you for letting me read to you today from book 3. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I thank you for allowing me to come in, inspire, motivate, channel. I do it with unconditional love. Thank you. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody that is joining us right now live or has joined us that may not be live now. And thank you to all of you that will be joining us in another time space. And, thank you to Ra. Thank you to just all of the complexes and all of the archetypes that we all are. And remember that you're a unique archetype as well. You have some information, you have some knowledge and some experiences in your blueprint that is being passed to others as well. Not just passed to others as just another merely thing, but no, it's being passed as the same quality, the same fabric of the message of God, just as raw, but through a third dimensional body. Or, depending on where you like to travel with your multidimensional mind, you can channel it from a different realm as well. But when you're just being Marcus or you're just being Sandee, you're just transmitting through a third dimensional vehicle. And there's no right or wrong to it. It's all different degrees of translation and communication of what is the all infinite in the moment that we are experiencing. The more that we can really accept that with each other, we really start to just solidify more of what is already unified consciousness. Not necessarily that we become more unified, it's that we dissolve the barriers of the delusions that were making us think we weren't unified and still are in this moment and still are tomorrow and still are next year. The unification doesn't ever go away. It's the remembrance and the embodiment, the experience of what is. And sometimes we're not ready for what is. So we go off and we adventure into this polarity and then adventure into that polarity until we're ready to be what is. And then we do it again and again and again.
It's called play. It really is. Our higher beings came to play.
Speaking of play, I'd like to close out with a little bit of a drum play for you guys. You guys would love to just receive, flow, maybe even dance wherever you are. I'm gonna share a little bit of drum medicine, channel a little bit of love and energy through this drum, and allow you guys to receive if you would like. And of course, for whatever reason you don't want to, you don't have to. But I'm gonna do a little sound test real quick. How does that sound?
To me, it sounds good.
Awesome. All right, let's get it started. And I actually got gifted this drum just last week from the apartment maintenance guy. The apartment's maintenance guy I met because he was doing some work here at the apartment. And he actually is someone that is well on his recovery path with addiction. And he actually studies Buddhism. And he holds different spaces and workshops and events for addiction recovery. But he does it in a Buddhist type of way rather than the typical AA or NA. He does it with Buddhist traditions. So he gifted this to me for free as a gift of our connection. But yeah, so go ahead and just get cozy. You can dance, you can just receive whatever you feel, completely up to you. I'm gonna play the drum for a minute.
Ooh.
Wow.
Matake matashi sholoku uti amta ah shana tokua poshana takiana pohoche shena uma daye hu kakendo takina hahachi otoko na kakatu u ehe ahe ese ne no kuna he yes
How are we
Thank you.
feeling out there?
One Love, episode 43, Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Are you ready? I'm already ready.
Oh yeah.
People,
I'm
get
feeling
ready.
that time space now.
Yes. All right.
Oh, he says, Vashisht says that he feels warm and loved. Ooh, I love that. And then
Yes.
gratitude to Patrice as well. Yeah, thank you for being with us today, Patrice, over on my live side.
Oh, divine words of wisdom. Patrice.
Magical Auntie Patrice.
Magical Auntie Patrice. Listen to that vibrational name. Magical Auntie Patrice. Vibration. You know, we get caught up in the words, and you'll have people going, "Oh, magic? That's just another word for energy."
Right.
That's just another word for moving and creating energy, manifesting it, alchemizing it, transmuting it, transcending it, seeing, feeling, being in the quantum energy, because we're constantly bumping up against it. The quantum energy is within us. And it's so magnificent in its vastness that it's outside of us. The energy of the divine goes before you when you walk in a room and pulls up the rear while you're still walking in the room. That's how massive energy is. As long as you're vibrating it, it's going to say, I'll follow you anywhere. That's energy. Energy is going to create for you whether you're conscious of it or not. Whether you believe in it or not. Energy has no gray areas. Energy is doing what it was created to do by the divine, seeking itself in, through, and as you. So, my wonderful creations of the divine, go create today. Be blessed.
Some blue sage to close out the space. Thank you to the blue sage spirit for being in its form to interact with us in its authentic purpose as it clears and uplifts the energy field of any debris that could have been broken up from this session. And with that being said, this space is now closed. This was episode 42.
I close this energy with 10845, 10845, 10845. Take your energy and be the creator that you were meant to be. One love.
Wholeness and balanced love.
Blue sage, selenite, raw rising codes, blue flame. Affirmation for the blue flame. I invoke and surrender my multidimensional being on all layers to Archangel Michael and the blue ray and blue flame of divine lights. May it bring ultimate balance, justice, clarity, truth, and harmony to my layers of my multidimensional human being. I am cleansing and letting go of blockages, traumas, pains, and distortions that are causing imbalances within my human being. I am letting them go and letting them go into the blue flame as I release and let go. I am embracing unconditional love, universal truth as who I am in this life, in this body, and as a being of the universal light.